Deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with RJ. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And for the first time in 9 years, the UConn Huskies are in the Sweet 16. They won their 2 games in Albany this weekend. The last weekend, they beat Siena 87-63. They beat St. Mary's 70-55. Really, outside of Alabama, they were the most impressive team in the tournament. Adamo Sanago was unbelievable. He was outstanding in those 2 games. Hawkins was not good in the first half, but he definitely got going in the second half. And I think this team, the way they're playing right now, I think they're going to be very, very hard to beat. If Sanago and Hawkins keep playing the way they are, they're going to be really, really hard to beat. Justin, your thoughts from last weekend?
Yeah, again, they played really well both games the second half. They came out kind of firing. And that's kind of, during the non-conference, it's kind of what we saw, a team that, in spurts played really, really well. They kind of let teams back into it, but when they start to get it going, it's like an avalanche, and it's tough to stop them. Yes, and probably him or Dylan DeSuze were probably, both those two were probably the most impressive players over the weekend. Yeah, Hawkins, both games had a really good second half. It's got to get it going, in the first half as well. But yeah, the way they're playing right now, they definitely have a chance to win it all. Arkansas is going to be a tough one. They're probably a team that there's only probably 2 or 3 other teams in the country that can match UConn's athleticism, and Arkansas could do that. So it's going to be a tough one. But yeah, it's great to see him back in the Sweet 16.
Absolutely. And you talk about Arkansas matching their athleticism, but I don't think they have the 3-point shooting or the size to beat UConn. I really like UConn in this game. I really like UConn in this matchup. And Justin, I want to hear your keys. What are your keys to UConn getting a win over Arkansas?
For me, the first one is you got to play a full 40 minutes. I don't think that 20 minutes second half is going to get it done. You got to come out, play with a full 40 minutes. Because Arkansas is good enough to beat you. Again, they were down 12 against Kansas. In that second half, they didn't flinch, and they found a way to win that basketball game. That's a good team. Eric Musselman, back-to-back Elite Eights. He's a very good coach. Probably we got 2 of the most animated coaches going to be on the sideline.
Oh yeah, you're going to see a lot of animation tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, I feel bad for that crew ref in that game. That's not going to be. That can't be fun for those 3 referees dealing with those 2. So that's the first one. It's just play a full 40 minutes. 20 minutes will not get it done, I feel like, in this game. Their man-to-man defense has got to be on point, because Arkansas, as you mentioned, they're not a good 3-point shooting team. They want to get to the basket. And it's tough for Sanago because, he's 6'9". He's not really a guy that could he's not a rim protector like Klingon is when he comes in. When Sanogo's in there, they got to be able to, good man-to-man defense, keep their guy in front of them, make them take a lot of challenging threes or tough, long twos. Do not let them get to the basket and get to the free throw line, because if you can let them settle and, they're not really going to hit their shots, they want to get to the basket, the man-to-man defense has got to be good tomorrow. Because if they get to the basket, they get, they hit free throws. It could be a long night for UConn. Then my final one is for UConn is you got to avoid Arkansas's like 8 to 10-0 runs. Like, they're kind of like UConn where they get it going, they can go on a long run, and they got to be able to kind of, be able to respond to those. If they come down, hit 2 threes, UConn's got to respond and hit a 3 back. You can't let them go on these 8 to 10-0 runs, because that could really cost you. You're down 2 points, and all of a sudden you could be down 12 in a matter of 2-3 minutes. So for them, they gotta can't let Arkansas go on one of those spurts. It'll be a tough one, but Arkansas's got some talented players. But yeah, I think UConn could win this one. But those 3 keys are going to be huge for UConn to find a way to hopefully get back to the Elite 8.
My keys are got to get Hawkins going early. That's what they didn't do in the first 2 games. He had 0 points in the first half in both games. He came alive in the second half both times. They need to get him going early in this game. They definitely do. They can't. He can't get off to a slow start. They got to get him going early. Number 2, keep doing what they're doing with Sanogo. Keep feeding Sanogo. And I'm telling you one thing: Arkansas does not. They do not have a big that can match up with Sanogo. I think he's going to have another big night. Keep feeding Sanogo. He's been great in this tournament. They got to keep feeding him down low. And then number 3, they got to contain Ricky Council, and they got to contain Devontae Davis. Those 2 guys had huge games against Kansas. They got to contain the guard play of Arkansas. If they do all 3 of those things, they will win this game, because I don't love Arkansas. I really don't. I know they got some talent. I know they got some NBA prospects with Anthony Black and Nick Smith, but those guys aren't playing great. Those aren't even their 2 best players. Their 2 best players are Ricky Council and Devontae Davis. Those are their 2 best players. So Arkansas does not have a ton of size, and they're not a good 3-point shooting team. They only hit 6 threes combined in their 2 wins in the first round, and they shot under 30% from 3-point range. So they're not a good 3-point shooting team. UConn is the better. The UConn shoots the ball better, and they got a better inside game. UConn is the better basketball team here. I definitely believe that. If Bill Self is coaching Kansas against Arkansas, Kansas probably wins that game. So I think UConn is the better team, and I expect them to win this game tomorrow night.
Yeah, I do too. Arkansas kind of reminds me of St. John's with more talent, with the way they want to play, with the way they want to get the basket. They're not a great shooting team. Now, they don't have a Joel Soriano inside, but yeah, and St. John's could cause, we saw it cause some problems for UConn. But yeah, I think it's a team they should win this one. Cameron Johnson, their starting center, is only 6'7". They got the Mitchell twins, who are both 6'10" and 6'9", 6'10", 6'9", but they're both not great. So yeah, my worry is that Musselman watched that game in the Big East Semi against Marquette and kind of said, all right, we're going to let UConn shoot, because Marquette didn't have the physicality inside either. And again, UConn, I think Sanogo and Klingon only took like 14 shots in that game. So, like, for me, yeah, it is. You mentioned you got to get the ball inside Sanogo. They should be able to win this game. But look, I do hope they just go out there and just play with house money. I know Arkansas is an 8 seed. I know they're UConn's a favorite. But again, Arkansas is a preseason top 10 team. This is a really talented team. I know they have played like it at times, but just go out there and play with house money. Like, I don't need this team to be tight. Like, I feel like they were in the first halves of the last, against Iona and St. Mary's. So, yeah, I think you can win this game, but, I just, as you mentioned, Hawkins too's got to get it going in the first half. But, yeah, I think you kind of got a little bit more talent. But, again, I just worry about their man-to-man defense and letting Arkansas get to the rack.
Yeah, and that's a great point. This is a bad 3-point shooting team. Sag off the 3-point line. Let them shoot threes. Let them take threes. All right, if they make it, then you got to play the tight man-to-man defense. Do not play tight man-to-man defense in this game. I know Hurley likes to play that, but he's got to adjust to the opponent. You can't be playing this tight man-to-man defense against a team that cannot shoot 3-point shots.
And that's where I do worry about her a little bit, because it's the same thing like St. John's. That game at the XL Center, for whatever reason, they did not want to get out of that tight man-to-man defense and they just St. John's kept getting the basket every possession. That's where I worry about. Yes, I'm with you. Like, sag off them a little bit, let them shoot if they want it. They hit a couple, fine, sure. I think the three. This is kind of something for like all the games. Like the 3-point shooting has been down the tournament, and they're using a brand new basketball. I guess this year it's like a Wilson, and a lot of them use Nike, I believe, during in Spalding. So I think that's why the 3-point numbers have been down during the tournament this year. So yeah, it's something where a team's struggling too. You mentioned too, they've only hit 6 in their first 2 rounds. Like, yeah, let them shoot, let them take some challenging shots that they've not been able to hit. So yeah, I'm with you. I think UConn should be winning this game, but yeah, Arkansas's got the talent, they got the guard play to go on a run there.
Yeah. So who do you got winning? I got UConn winning it by, I'd say 6 or 7 points.
Yeah, I got UConn too by 5-6 points. I think hopefully they get it done. Close game worries me, but I think they find a way to get it done right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're playing well, playing really, really well at the right time. Jim Calhoun said that at practice on Monday. You're playing. So you saw that he was at practice on Monday. He said they're playing well at the right time, and that's a really, really good sign when you're playing really well in the month of March. But now we will move on to the second game in Las Vegas tomorrow night, and this is a rematch of a classic. You remember that as classic. You were young, but you remember this classic with Jordan Farmar and Adam Morrison. This is a rematch of a classic game from 2006 in the tournament. It'll be
17 years of the day. It will be tomorrow night.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy to think. 17 years of the day of that classic Sweet 16 game in 2006. These two teams meet up again, and I think it's going to be a great game between these two teams. I think these are two very evenly matched teams. I think it's going to be a game in the 70s. I think both teams are going to score. But I do like the guard play of both teams. Tiger Campbell of UCLA. I like Strother and Bolton of Gonzaga. I think it's going to be a really good game between the two teams. But I think the difference in this game is going to be Drew Timme. I think Drew Timme is going to be the difference. And that's why I think Gonzaga gets to an Elite Eight and they knock out UCLA. But Justin, can Mick Cronin get the Bruins to the Elite Eight for the second time in 3 years?
I do got the Bruins win this one. I think they pull out a close one. Yeah.
But I thought you had Gonzaga's going to the Elite Eight.
I think I do. I probably do. I have a couple brackets. So
yeah.
I think about it more, and I like the guard play at UCLA a little bit better. Like Tiger Campbell, he's been a guy that just hits big shots. And Jaquez Jaime's, I think he's another one. I think those two, because the problem I have with Gonzaga guards, they're good, but at times I feel like they're not great in big spots, and they don't hit. There's been times that they haven't been great shooting the basketball. Yeah, Drew Timme is going to be a bear down low. That's going to be a tough matchup for him, especially if Adam Bona gets a foul trouble because they do not have a lot of depth in the front court. But I'll take those two guys, Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez, to knock down enough shots. Again, UCLA, this is a revenge game for 2 years ago, too, in the Final Four. That was another class. That's the last time
that's what I should have mentioned. Yeah. I should have mentioned that classic from 2 years ago with the Jalen Suggs game. I was thinking, Adam Morris and Jordan Farmer from the Sweet 16, but that was a much better. Actually, that was a much more memorable game 2 years ago with Jalen Suggs.
Yeah, that was an awesome one. That's one of the best tournament games we've had. That's the last time we've had a buzzer beater too in the tournament. So it's been a while. So hopefully, but yeah, Adam Morrison's going to be on the radio call for Gonzaga. So I assume we'll see a lot of Adam Morrison, camera time. But I think UCLA finds a way to get revenge over Gonzaga from a couple years ago.
Gotcha. So we look at the West Region Final. You got UCLA and UConn. I got UConn and Gonzaga. And Justin, is UConn good enough to make it to the Final Four now? From what you've seen the last 2 weeks, do you think they beat UCLA in the Elite Eight?
Yeah, I think they can. I think UCLA is pretty banged up right now. It sounds like David Singleton's seems like he's healthy. That did not look good the other night, but seems like he's good to go this weekend. But yeah, I think Jordan Hawkins, if Tristan Newton's on, again, if they can get some production out of the bench as well, off the bench, I think, UConn will be the better team. UCLA is really talented. Mick Cronin has done a really good job with UCLA and really restoring, some of the cachet that UCLA has. But I think UConn might have a little bit too much, a little bit, more depth. And I think Sanogo and Cleveland can get Bona in foul trouble. And, they find a way to knock off UCLA, get the Final Four.
I think UConn beats either of these two teams if they play them. I think they beat UCLA because of their size. I think the size is the reason why they beat UCLA. I don't think UCLA has the inside game that UConn has. That's why I think they beat. That's why they think they beat UCLA. And I have them matched up with. I mean, not in my original bracket, but right now I got them matched up with Gonzaga. And I think they beat Gonzaga. And the reason why is I think their guard play is better than Gonzaga's. And they have an inside game they have an inside game that can match what Gonzaga does inside. And they have rim protectors like Donovan Clingan that can contain Drew Timme. So that's why I think they beat either one of these two teams. I got UConn winning the West region.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they can knock off Gonzaga as well with Drew Timme. Down low. Yeah, I think they could match them down low. And yeah, I got UConn. I think could win the West. Again, if this team could play full 40 minutes and just goes out there and just plays, yeah, I think they could do. They've had a lot of success in the West region as well. 11, 04, 99.
Yeah, four of their. I think is it how many of their? I think 4 of their final 4 appearances have been in the West region: 99, 2004, 2009, and then 2011. 4 of their 5 final 4 appearances have been when they've been in the West region.
Yeah, Calhoun used to say he loved going out there because there's no distractions. Like you just. Because again, like at playing at MSG, you're gonna have all those fans. There's gonna be a lot on you.
Exactly.
So I think it helps sometimes you go out west and kind of get away from everything. So yeah, they've had success. So yeah, I think they found a way yet again to win the West region.
And you saw Calhoun at practice on Monday. You saw him say, "Guys, you 80 minutes away." 80, minutes away. I'm not gonna say the word, but 80, Calhoun's gonna use that word.
Yeah.
When you see Jim Calhoun, he's gonna use that word. But yeah, he says 80, minutes away. You could smell it. And he said they got something special going. When that comes from Jim Calhoun, that's real.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And actually I could probably tell you, I know, Calhoun, it's great to have practice. I know I believe he's at Albany last weekend. So yeah, when Calhoun's saying something like that, he knows, and it's great to see him around. And yeah, he knows basketball really well. So I think he sees the talent on this team, and I think hopefully the team responds and plays well. And yeah, 80 minutes, and hopefully they find a win those 2 games.
80 minutes to Houston. 80 minutes to Houston for the UConn Huskies. We'll see if they get it done this weekend. But we got to move on to the East region. Those games will be played down at Madison Square Garden in New York. We'll start with the team that always plays well in March, the Michigan State Spartans. They face a surprising Kansas State Wildcats. And I think this game is going to be a really, really close game. I think Marquise Noel, John Calipari, come on. You don't even know his name. Calling him the little guy shows you why you're one of the most overrated coaches of all time. You're supposed to be preparing for the team. You don't even know his name. That makes no sense. And you got Keontae Johnson in Kansas State. And then you got Michigan State, who they do this so much. Izzo is so good in March. He's so good in March. I mean, obviously with Tyson Walker, A.J. Hogard, and Joey Hauser. I think this is a close competitive game. But I am going to take the team that's going to shoot the 3 well. And I think Joey Hauser is going to be the difference. He was really good in their first-round game against UCLA. I think he's going to be the difference in this game. And I got Michigan State going to another Elite 8. But Justin, can Kansas State keep this dream season alive?
Yeah, this has been a tough one for me, because you think about the last 2 times 7 seed, in the East region play at the Garden, 14 with UConn, and then 2017 with South Carolina. The last 2 7 seeds have.
It's like the magical number, the 7 seed playing in the Garden in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, it seems like it. But then on Kansas State side with Marquise Noel, the 5'8" guard. He's from Harlem. He's never played at MSG before. He's going home. And he's giving me some Kemba Walker vibes right now, the way he's been playing. Just whenever they need to hit a big shot, he's done it. He's an undersized guard, but he's super quick. As I mentioned, his tough shots, big time. I'm going to take Kansas State. Tom Izzo's been so good late, in March. When he gets here, the Sweet 16, he's been unbelievable. Joey Hauser's been reminding me too of like what Brady Manick was last year to North Carolina. The clutch shot making. He's been good on the defensive end, but I'm gonna take the better guard, and I think right now the way Marquise Noel's playing, again, if they get at something out, Keontae Johnson, and then I think those 2 find a way. I just something special scenes on that Kansas State team right now, and Walker and Tyson Walker for Michigan State, and AJ Hogard's been playing well at the guard spots as well. But I know Izzo's been good. It's tough to pick against Izzo right now as well, but the way Norwell's been playing, that he just kind of something feels special about that K-State team, and I think Kansas State finds a way to win this because I think whoever wins this game, I think wins the region.
Oh, I completely agree. And this will lead us to our next game in the region. That's Florida Atlantic against Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee, I'll admit, I was not a fan of Tennessee all season long. I was not a fan, but, they were really good against Duke. Their defense only gave up 52 points. They had a guy score 27. What's his name again? Colma or something? The guy who scored 27?
Yeah, Cole. What's it? It's Colmar. I got to.
Colmar?
No. Yeah, it's like I can't pronounce it. Yeah.
Yeah. He had 27. Their defense only allowed 52 points against Duke. And then you got FAU, who, yes, they're here, but they very easily could have lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, and Memphis. And they don't even have a guy who averages more than 15 a game. That's why I think Tennessee holds them under 60. And I think Tennessee, even though I don't like them that much, I got them going to the Sweet 16. But Justin, can your boys at FAU, who you said was the sleeper going into this tournament in this region, are they going to get to the Elite Eight?
I think they can. I really do. Dusty May, the head coach for Atlantic, was like, he's going to study up on his Aussie rugby rules this week. So,
he should also teach his players some sportsmanship. That was awful what happened at the end of that game. You can't be dunking the ball right after the game. Just run the clock out.
Yeah, I know. He said he went, on the handshake line and apologized to Tobin Anderson about that. So, I would assume he probably said something in the locker room. I would assume. But look, I think this Florida Atlantic team can match up well against Tennessee. Again, they haven't faced this physicality that they're about to face. Because again, you saw Duke had no idea what was about to hit them. But what Florida Atlantic could do is because Tennessee doesn't, they like to protect the middle. They don't want you to kind of get, inside. They do a really good job as well at defending the three. But again, Florida Atlantic got three guys that could shoot above 38% from beyond the arc. And that's why they don't have a guy that averaged more than 15 a game, because they could spread it out and anybody could beat you any given night.
But if they want to make some sort of a run, they got to have a guy be dominant. But it's college basketball, though. You never know.
Yeah, it's college basketball. And especially in this year where everything is so wide open, John Davis with 29 the other night, like that, if they can get something like that again, they got a chance. Like if you could just get one guy that could just hit a bunch of shots from behind the arc, I think you got a chance. And they're going to apply some ball pressure. They're going to make Tennessee kind of play 94 feet offensively. So, and Tennessee's offense isn't great. So if they could kind of turn it over, but they got to be able to knock down shots. I think the physicality at Tennessee is going to get them, but I think they keep this thing close. But I think Tennessee pulls out a little bit. And the last time Tennessee played at the Garden, it was that ugly Jimmy V Classic in 2021. It was like 57-52 in OT. And I think
I was texting you saying that was like one of the worst games I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was not pretty. I think they had a combined like 5 3-pointers made. That was not a good basketball game.
No. Now, getting to the final at the Garden on Saturday night, I mean, it's going to be great for either of these teams to get that experience of playing Saturday night at the Garden for a chance to go to the Final Four. Usually the game was on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I like Saturday night at the Garden to get to the Final Four. I think that's special. So I have Michigan State and Tennessee. You got Kansas State and Tennessee. But we both said whoever wins the game between Michigan State and Kansas State is going to the Final Four. And I got Izzo going to another Final Four. I think he's got more score. I think his team has more scoring than Tennessee. And I got Michigan State going to another Final Four. I know I originally had Marquette, but they lost. But now I got Michigan State going to a Final Four. Justin, who do you got coming out of the East region?
Yeah, I got Kansas State. I think, they find a way to get Tennessee. I think Marquise Noel, yet again, best player on the floor. I think he finds a way to hit some big shots late in that game. And I think Kansas State goes back to the final. Yeah, goes to the Final Four. And be a unbelievable story with Jerome Tang's on there in year one after they were picked dead last in the Big 12.
I mean, pick dead last in the best conference in college basketball, but still a great accomplishment if they get there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, he's had an unbelievable year. I'd put him or the Fordham coach Keith Ergo as like coach of the year. One of those two absolutely deserve to win that coach of the year award because they've done a remarkable job there. So yeah, it's even Kansas State loses its Elite Eight or even tomorrow night, it's been an incredible year for Jerome Tang in that program.
Absolutely. Now we will move on to the South region. We got the best team, the number one team in the tournament, Alabama, facing San Diego State. And I know Brian Dutcher's done a really good job. They were very impressive against Foreman, but come on. Their two wins were against Charleston and Foreman. This is a major step up in competition. I like Brian Dutcher. Did a great job recruiting the Fab Five. I don't think the Fab Five is the Fab Five without Brian Dutcher. I think he does a really good job at San Diego State. But this Alabama team, to me, outside them and UConn have been the two most impressive teams in the country, and I think they're going to be very impressive on Friday night. I think they win this game by double digits and advance on to the Elite Eight. But Justin, can San Diego State and Brian Dutcher upset the number one team in the tournament?
I think they can keep this thing close, maybe for a half. I don't know if they're going to be able to, because the thing is, Alabama's struggling at Tennessee, and San Diego State's going to be, again, not as physical as Tennessee, but they're a physical bunch. They got some size that can maybe disrupt Alabama at the rim. The worry I have with San Diego State is their half-court offense is not good. And it's just very consistent. And I think that's where the Aztec may run into problems here against Bama, because you're going to have to knock down some shots. If Matt Bradley could kind of figure it out and go off and put up 20, 25 points, I think San Diego State's got a real shot to win this game. Alabama's a team that wants to get it up and down, and San Diego State doesn't mind kind of playing the half court. But, if this gets to an up-tempo game, San Diego State does have some depth with them, that could kind of match. But I just think Alabama, as you mentioned, there's just a little bit too much talent. But the Aztec, I think, could keep this thing close for a bit. But yeah, the way Alabama's playing, it's just such. And Brandon Miller didn't score against Corpus Christi. He didn't play great either Saturday night, and they still blew out Maryland. He really hasn't even played his best so far either. And I think that's a scary thing right now for the rest of the country.
Absolutely. So we got the second game in the South region, and that's Princeton and Creighton. Princeton, obviously the surprise team, is the 15 seed, and I was surprised the way they blew out Missouri after they beat Arizona. I was surprised the way they beat Missouri on last Saturday. But this is going to be a game where I think Kyle Brenner is going to be the difference. I think the size of Creighton is going to be the difference, and I like Creighton's guard play. I like Alexander. I like Nemhard. Nemhard had a big game against Creighton. I really like their guard play. And I think this is the end of the line for Princeton, who's had a great run, who had pulled off a great upset against Arizona, crushed Missouri. But I do think Creighton wins this by double digits and plays Alabama in the Elite Eight. But Justin, can Princeton keep the Cinderella story alive?
It's going to be tough. Again, this is a good basketball team. I know they got here and all that, I still thought Yale was a little bit better than Princeton was this year. But again, this is a good basketball team. They got guys that can knock down shots. But yeah, I think this is where it ends, because I think Creighton, something Missouri couldn't really even do is they can't match kind of the versatility that kind of Princeton could throw at you. And Creighton could do that with their 4-guard lineup that they could throw 4 guards at you. And Kolkbrenner is going to be able to defend the rim. Again, if Princeton gets some open, because they run some really good sets and they get open they get open shots, they can get that against Creighton. They got a chance that they can knock them down. But I think Creighton's got a little bit too much for him. And as you mentioned, I think Kolkbrenner is going to be a problem for Princeton. He had 31 against NC State. I think he could have another big game against Princeton. And I do have Doug McDermott and Creighton trying to get a chance here to go to their first Final Four in program history.
And they're going to and they should get that shot on Sunday afternoon against Alabama. I think this is going to be a test for Alabama. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I can't go against the best player in the country, and I can't go against the team that has been so impressive in their first 2 games. I'm going with Alabama to get to the Final Four out of the South region. Justin, can Creighton get to their first Final Four?
I'm going to pick them. I'm going to take them.
Wow, you're going Creighton after you picked Alabama to win the national championship last week.
I did. I did. But I love the way Creighton right now is playing like the way that they did, that everybody thought before, where they were the preseason, Final Four threat. Again, they dominated. I know they won by 1, but they controlled that game for 40 minutes. They were on. I think I've said it a bunch. I think Doug McDermott's one of the best coaches in the country.
Or Greg McDermott.
That's the son, Doug. But yeah, Greg's done a tremendous job. Again, I know they don't have much depth, but I think they can match with Alabama. I think Kolkbrenner could be a problem down low. Nemhart, went off the other day. I think he got 30 against Baylor against Sunday night. Again, I think they could have one of those performances. Grant's kind of playing really well at the right time. I worry a little bit about the depth against Alabama, but I think Arthur Kaluma can match up with Brandon Miller defensively. I think he could do a good job. I think he could kind of keep him in check. If Craig can knock down some jumpers, they don't mind playing the half court either. And if they could kind of keep this game in the 60s, low 70s, I think Craig can knock them off.
Yeah, it's possible. I just can't go against Alabama. I cannot go against Alabama with the way they played in their first two games. But we got the final region, and that is the Midwest region. We got two really good games Friday night. First, it's Miami and Houston. I think this is going to be a really, really close competitive game. But I'm going to take the team with the better guard play, and that's Miami with Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong. I'm going to take that, and they got no Chad O'Meara back, and they got Nigel Pack who can hit threes. I'm going to take Miami to head back to the Elite Eight. I got them beating Houston in a really, really close game. But Justin, can Houston get to their third consecutive Final Four?
Yeah, this is another tough one for me as well because you mentioned Miami does have the guys that can kind of knock down shots, and again I don't know if really Houston's kind of seen a lineup like this that's going to be able to put four guards on the floor. But the thing that worries me is Houston just wears you down, and you kind of saw against Auburn when they Saturday night. They just the way they held Auburn to 4 made field goals in the second half. And it's like when they want to play defense and when they really want to lock you down, they remind me of Baylor a couple of years ago when they won the national championship. It is just it takes everything that takes every ounce to try to get anything easy against that team. But yeah, if the way Miami has to win this game is they got to get this thing up and down, and they got to get this game in the 70s. I don't think you're scoring 80 against Houston, but if you can keep the game in the 70s, and the thing too that Houston could have trouble with is a game like this where Miami does have some really good shot makers. Again, the game at Temple where they lost, they didn't hit a field goal, I think, for the last 7 minutes of the game. That's a problem with Houston is offensively, can they knock down enough shots? Can they find enough offense? They rely on their defense at times to be their offense. Can they sustain that? It'll be tough, but I'm with you with Jim Larinaga. He's such an unbelievable coach, especially in the tournament. He's done a great job of that program, elevating it. I got the Canes as well. I think the guard play is a little bit better. I know Sampson says Sasser and Snead are healthy, but I don't know if that's just coach speak or what, but I'm with you. I think Miami finds a way to knock off Houston on Friday night.
Wow. So Houston won't be going back to won't be going home for the Final Four.
Yeah. It's I know it'll be a disappointment for Houston fans. They've been the favorite all year, but yeah, I think the offense kind of everybody's been talking since November. Did they have the offense? I think that's what could cost them this game.
And then we got the second game between Xavier and Texas. I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be close right down to the end. But I think the difference is going to be I think Dylan DeSue has played so well for Texas ever since the Big 12 tournament. He had 28. He saved him against Penn State. He had 20 against Penn State. I think he has another big game. And I think Texas, in a close one, beat Soleil Boom and Xavier. But, Justin, can Sean Miller get the Musketeers to the Final Four?
I don't think so. I think Texas knocks them off. I think this is a bad matchup for Xavier. As you mentioned, Dylan DeSuze, the way he's been able to stretch the floor is been a huge key. And then again, he's been able to put it on put the ball on the floor and get it to the rack. And I think, that's going to be a tough matchup there for Jack Nungy to kind of slow down. And Rodney Terry, he's former UTEP coach. He did coach Soleil Boom for 3 years when he was at UTEP. So there's some familiarity there. And Soleil Boom has not played well since the Big East final. He had 1 point against Marquette.
Yeah, the Big East semifinal against the Creighton.
Yeah, he had 23. And then Marquette, he didn't even hit a field goal. He's got to get going. They really need him to hit some shots. I know Adam Kunkel's, has been playing really well. Colby Jones has. But I think this is a bad matchup for Xavier because Pittsburgh they didn't take some really good shots. They missed a swing pass and they would have had somebody open. They let Xavier get out and run in the open court. And Texas isn't really going to do that. Texas is going to take some good shots. Defensively, they're not great, but I think, they'll do some things defensively, which, could slow down Xavier a bit. And I think Texas finds a way yet again under Rodney Terry. I think they find a way to get to Elite Eight, and I think he's one step closer to forcing Texas A&D to have to hire Rodney Terry.
Yeah, and we'll go into the Midwest region final. We both have Miami and Texas, and I'm going to go to Texas. And the one reason why is they clearly have a better inside game right now than Miami. I think if Miami doesn't shoot the ball well in that game, they're going to be in trouble. That's why I got Texas heading to their first Final Four since Rick Barnes in 2003. In 20 years, Texas heads to their first Final Four as they knock off Miami in the Elite Eight. Justin, can Larrañaga finally get back to the Final Four? We all know the time when who he beat in the Elite Eight when he got there.
Yeah, that UConn. That one's I saw a lot of heartbreak in UConn fans' hearts in that one because that was a disappointment. That should have been another championship, but in that one, Texas Miami. I think Texas gets back there for first time since 2003. It's crazy Texas hasn't made I couldn't believe that this first time they've made a Sweet 16 in 15 years. It just doesn't, with all the resources Texas has, that shouldn't happen. But I think they finally get back there. I think with Rodney Terry, Marcus Carr plays well. As well. Dylan DeSuze, has another big game. I feel like, Miami got to Elite Eight last year, couldn't quite get over the hump, and I think it's to be the same thing this year. I think those kids, really want Terry to get that job. Again, it was a tough situation for him to take over Rodney Terry, but he's done a remarkable job. I understand why he hasn't got the job yet because he's not a flash. Like Texas wants a big, like Texas is flirting with John Calipari right now. That should tell you all you want. It's about the name.
Oh, please.
It's about the name.
Oh, please.
I know.
That's good. That is just gonna hurt that program. I'm sorry. He's gonna be addicted to the one and done. Oh God! Talking to John, hire this guy. Hire Terry, please. He's got them to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 16 years. He's got them to a Sweet 16. Hire him. That's before Durant. Yeah. This is even before Durant. This is the first Sweet 16 since 2006. So yeah, please do the right thing and hire Rodney Terry. Do not hire John Calipari, please.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think at this point you got to give him the job. We'll see if that happens, but you never know with Texas. They do some, you just never know with that athletic program what they're going to do. But yeah, I'm with you. They got to hire him. He's done a remarkable job. Calipari I think would be a huge mistake, and would set the program back going to the SEC in a couple years. Wouldn't it be great? But I think Texas finally gets back there. That team, they got the guard play with Hunter and Carr, and they find a way to knock off Miami. They'll go back to the Final Four for this. I think it'll be the only second time in program history, which is another second or third, which is still that to not happen.
Yeah, I know. They should be going to more Final Fours with all the resources they have. But we'll make our Final Four picks. In my Final Four, I have UConn matched up with Texas, and I got Alabama matched up with Michigan State. So in my Final Four, I got Alabama beat right now. In my Final Four, I got Alabama beating Michigan State. And then I got UConn beating Texas, and I got UConn meeting Alabama in the final. And I don't like going against the Huskies, but I picked Alabama to start the tournament, and I'm going to stick with it. So right now I got Alabama over UConn in the national championship game. Justin, who do you got?
For me, first one, I got UConn, Texas as well. This is a tough one. I will take UConn. I think they'll find a way hopefully to knock off Texas. And the other side, I got K-State and Creighton. I'll go K-State, and I think UConn knocks off K-State in the national championship game, and hopefully get number 5.
Wow! So you got Hurley getting number 5. So I got him going to the championship game. You got him winning the championship game. So it should be really interesting to see what happens this weekend with UConn. But we definitely will be rooting for him. But we got some coaching hires in the Big East. Some new coaches in the Big East and pretty prominent spots. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Alrighty, on Monday, Rick Pitino left Iona and took the job at St. John's, and I think this is a great, even though Patino's 70 years old, I think this is a great hire for St. John's. I think it's a great hire. I think he's going to bring them back to prominence. And the big question is, Justin, will Pitino have St. John's on top of the Big East in the next 2 years?
I think it's very possible. I really, especially with how much you can change over rosters nowadays. And again, St. John's had talent on that roster this year. Again, they just were not. Mike Anderson wasn't the greatest coach, and it's going to turn into an Ollie situation. I don't know if you saw, but the fire without cause here is Mike Anderson didn't sue St. John, so
gotcha.
We're gonna have a little, reminder for UConn fans of that saga. But yeah, I think he really can. I think he'll get that team to the Final Four. He signed a 6-year deal, so he'll be 76. When that thing ends, I think they'll be there. They'll be up at the top of the league. And Father Shamley, who was at Providence, who's a huge part of building that thing with Ed Cooley at Providence. They got some of the best facilities there. He is now at St. John's. Like, this is, Father Shamley did work with Rick Pitino because he used to be a professor at Providence when Rick Pitino was head coach. So they already have that relationship. And they're both committed to building facilities. St. John's have, I think, the worst in the conference is what I've read. So he wants to build that thing like they did at Providence. Rick Pitino is going to keep New York kids home because they haven't in a long time. They've really struggled to keep those kids home. I think Rick Pitino is a home run hire for a program that hasn't been relevant in a while. They haven't won a tournament game since 2000. They haven't been to the Big East semifinals since 2003. I think Rick Pitino is a perfect hire for this for this program. And again, it's going to turn around St. John's, because I know that fan base has been dying for somebody to get it going down there.
All right. And speaking of Ed Cooley in Providence, Georgetown hires Ed Cooley to be their head coach. And do you think Ed Cooley, the big question here is, I don't know, it's going to take a while for Georgetown to be a top team in the Big East because they're absolutely terrible. They're in the basement of the Big East right now. But in 2 years, can Ed Cooley make this team be a tournament team, a team that can make the NCAA tournament in 2 years? Yeah,
absolutely. I think they can. This is it, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but NIL sounds like because that was something the Georgetown administration was really stubborn about early on. Now it seems like they're, with Cooley coming in, they're going to kind of open that up more, be more open to it. And yeah, I think for Georgetown, Cooley's a very good hire. Because what Cooley's always been big into the Big John, kind of what he meant to Georgetown and all that. He's always, he was there for the groundbreaking kind of the basketball facilities like 10 years ago. He's the only kind of Big East coach there. They've had they had a relationship. So again, it's crazy for, to think that he's leaving Providence. And again, that, I understand why kind of Providence fans feel like he backstabbed them. I get it. Did not leave the right way, but yeah, I think he can kind of get Georgetown back to where it should. And Georgetown's, the fans kind of reading from everything that, they're relishing and kind of taking back that villain role of what they had, because that was a team nobody wanted to face, back in the old days. Kind of seems like they're going to have that mantra again. And again, it's great for the Big East to have, Georgetown and hopefully St. John's as well going to be back. And for the Big East, the contract's up in 2024, and they're supposed to be talking in the next couple of weeks, negotiating with Fox to see if they can get something. So it is a perfect time for the Big East here for a new TV deal with all the drama and with Georgetown and St. John's going. And actually, the last thing too is, because this is the first time Cooley's left first time a Big East coach has left to go take another Big East job. I don't know, because Val Ackerman, the commissioner, was at the St. John press conference yesterday with Pitino. I did not see her at Georgetown today. Ooh. And I know there's been some stuff of maybe Georgetown was tampering a bit. And I've read something too that Georgetown kind of February told Val to kind of go pound sand when she kind of said the weight, and Georgetown kind of, said no to that. So, maybe something there, but that maybe she's not too happy. I don't know. I just maybe something to think about, but yeah, I think it's good for the Big East. I think the drama's been great because that's been the storyline the last couple of days, is the Big East kind of returning. And that's what made the Big East back in the day, was all the great coaches this conference has. And again, sounds like Providence is going to hire King English. He's 34 years old. Good. He's had 2 years of coaching experience. Good luck, man. Good luck.
Yeah, and you talked about, the great coaches what made the Big East the great coaches back in the day: the John Thompsons, the Jim Boeheims, the Jim Calhouns, the Rick Pittinos, the Louis Carnesecas, the Rolly Massiminos, the PJ Carlissimos. That's what made the Big East. I think like 6 of their original 8 schools made the Final Four in the first 10 years of the conference. That's what made the Big East, was the great coaches. So now, having a Cooley at Georgetown, Providence won't be great, but they'll still be competitive because it's been a decent program. And then you got Pitino at St. John's, and you talk about the TV. You made a great point with the TV contract. That is what destroyed the Big East. That's what destroyed the old Big East. I think that's what could help this Big East become the premier conference in college basketball again. I think they've taken big steps, bringing UConn back, and now getting Pitino back in the conference, and then having this rivalry between Georgetown and Providence. I think this Big East has definitely taken a lot of steps in the last 10 years. We thought the Big East was over when it was like when they added, like when everyone left and the only teams remaining were like Villanova, St. John's, Providence, and Georgetown, and then you had like Creighton, and obviously Marquette was still in the league, but Marquette and Creighton and Butler and Xavier. But now I think the Big East is in a great spot, and this TV deal, I think it's going to be a really good deal, and it's really, really going to help the conference. And I think this is going to get back to being the premier conference in college basketball in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. I think the last 10 years since kind of the breakup here, the Big East has shown that it can still live with the big boys. That they don't need the football money to keep competing. They may not get all the one and dones like some of the SEC Big 12 schools, but it's been a kind of upperclassmen type league. They always have really good players. Yeah, maybe not a ton of NBA guys, but they can hang around. I'm absolutely with you. Again, every program right now, besides DePaul, we'll see what King English could do at Providence, but I'm with you. I've heard he's very he's going to be kind of a star in the game, but we'll kind of see. But like everybody but DePaul, I feel like is in a very good spot. And yeah, it could be very, and I think Summerfield's done a good job recruiting. We'll see if he can kind of get it on the court going. But I'm with you. I think top to bottom, this conference is going to be a war every night. And yeah, you look at even right now, Sean Miller, Shaka Smart, we saw what he could do. Greg McDermott, what he's elevated that program. Shireen Holloway, we saw 1 year again when he gets guys that Seton Hall.
Oh yeah, Seton Hall's going to be good with Shaheem. Shaheem is going to. You saw what he did at St. Peter's. Shaheem, that team's going to be good with Shaheem.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Again, UConn with Dan Hurley, UConn's kind of getting back to where they should be.
I'll tell you that move to the Big East for UConn was the best thing that's happened to this team. That move to the Big East it's helped recruiting so much. It's brought this program back to being a top program. Their move to the Big East, because before the Big East, they were awful. They were a bad program. It was a bad program when they were in the American. They went from being a top program to a bad program when they were in the American. They go back to the Big East. That has helped this program so much.
Yeah, absolutely has. They're recruiting again. They just again, I know some of the stuff with Ali was kind of, you know, didn't help with some of the stuff that was going on there, and I think Ali kind of got little, kind of was not fully into it anymore. After he won the national championship, I think thought it was gonna come easy, but yeah, again, Hurley's done a great job. I think he's one of the best recruiters in the entire country. I wish a little bit game coach skills get a little bit better, but yeah, I think with UConn coming back, it's been great. Jim Moore doing what he could do with the football. That's totally helped that because this is a basketball first, university. The state, it means basketball means a ton here. So yeah, I just think as a conference as a whole, UConn's been great. I think UConn's helped the conference as well.
Absolutely.
With the environment that they bring to the Garden. But yeah, again, the rivalry now, Georgetown and Providence. I heard Bobby Hurley was in the running for a bit at Providence. I was hoping we'd get that too, because that would even help.
The Hurley's going at it. Now, do you think this move is good for Ed Cooley? Do you think it will help Ed Cooley in the next, 5 years?
I think, I think the ceiling is higher at Georgetown than at Providence. I think he got what the ceiling is today at Providence. I really do. I think it's, I don't think it's like the 80s where, Barnes got them to a Final Four. I think at Georgetown with all the resources, I think you can get back to a Final Four national championship kind of contender. Yeah, I'll take a couple years. Cooley hasn't been great in the tournament. His offenses aren't great. Usually it's the defense that does it, but we'll see when now he gets some more talent. The recruiting wise now, he's got to get the DMV kids to stay home, and I think he'll do that. The math of that big kind of high school down there in Maryland, that's the place he's got to start getting kids because Georgetown has not won there in a while. And I think Cooley, for him, for his legacy, for himself, I think is big. I think he had more success. Now his legacy at Providence, I think, is shattered, and because I'll make this compare. He was what Big John was at Georgetown. He was that at Providence. He was the man. I remember, driving through Rhode Island. He's everywhere on billboards. He's even, outside the airport. He's got a welcome to Friartown up there. They probably taken down now, but I think for himself, yes. But for the city of Providence, man, he kind of backstabbed them, and I do feel for that that fan base right now. It's going through it, and I get it. But yeah, for himself, he wants to try to. This is the best chance for him to win a national championship at Georgetown.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing about Georgetown for years is they were just hoping with guys that they kept it in the family with John. They had, I think they had a Thompson's longtime assistant at the beginning, and then they had a John Thompson's son. He did a good job at the beginning getting Jeff Green and Roy Hibbert and those guys. But then it started to get stale with Thompson, and then Patrick Ewing. I know he won that one Big East title, was an absolute disaster. I think not keeping it in the family is going to help, and Cooley is going to recruit. I think the recruiting was poor at Georgetown because they all thought, "Oh, we're Georgetown." No, that your program is falling off. You got to go out and recruit better, and they did it. And now I think with Cooley, they are going to recruit better, and they are going to be back to being a force in the Big East.
Yeah, it seems like they're making every attempt to kind of get back there, and I think they understand that this is a huge hire for them. And that again, that place, Capital One Arena, has been empty the last couple of years. They can't draw anybody there anymore. So yeah, I think Georgetown's making a huge investment to get back to where they belong because the Big East as a whole is a lot better when Georgetown's up there, and even St. John's. The conference is a lot better as a whole when those two are up there. Georgetown really has not played a relevant outside of that run in 2021. When's the last time Georgetown played a relevant regular season Big East game? It's been a long time, and that shouldn't happen.
Exactly. I'll always remember that Big East semi they had against Syracuse. I was there in 2013 when they had Otto Porter. Yeah. But really, since then, that program, I know they had that one Big East title, but since then, that program has been going downhill ever since that loss they had to Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, that's like the last time, I think that's what a lot of people a lot of kids now kind of remember. That's been a decade, which is insane.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like it's been that long, but it's been a decade. And yeah, they haven't been back there in a long time. And yeah, I think Cooley brings that back. And, there is still one more Thompson on. He was at the press conference today. He's been the chief of staff there the last couple. I didn't even really, I forget what they kind of. So you do have one more Thompson son there, which I've been reading. Georgetown fans don't like him. They think he's got a little bit too much power still. We'll see under Cooley what happens with that, but I think they're still in a lot better shape than they were under Pat Ewing. Because, yeah, him and, the the Prodigy Sun just don't work. We've seen it again.
Oh, we saw it. UConn fans saw it very well.
Yep.
UConn fans saw it very well.
Yep.
St. John's with Chris Mullen, yes.
Yeah. So it's it just doesn't work. It's unfortunate because he's such a he's had a huge part of why Georgetown became Georgetown. But yeah, it's timing, and again, it's good because I mentioned earlier, Georgetown's a villain again, and that's kind of what they were back in the day. And I feel like kind of with the fan bases now, because I don't know how other coaches around the league kind of feel with another team kind of poaching, coach from inside the conference, but that Prime's AD was not happy, and he did, that was kind of something interesting. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's great for the conference. It's great for this conference to be back in top of the hopefully the basketball kind of capital here.
Absolutely. So we got to talk about the WBC, and last night Japan won the WBC. That was the only game I watched the WBC. I have trouble watching baseball without a pitch clock now, so this was just the only game I watched the WBC. Had a great ending. Trout against Ohtani. They had a great ending. Japan ends up winning the World Baseball Classic 3-2 over the U.S. But the big question is seeing the injuries to Edwin Diaz and to Jose Altuve. Is the WBC good for baseball? I think my answer is I think they need to play it right after the World Series. They cannot be playing the WBC right before spring training. It's poorly timed. It can't be done before spring training. I'd play it after the World Series. I think it would be better because then you could get Edwin Diaz back. The Mets are not going to have their closer for the rest of the season. And then the Astros are going to have one of their best players out for 2 months. So I think the WBC should be played right after the World Series.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's like a what, but you can play in the domes like they did in Miami and Arizona. I think it's tough. It's every 4 years. The thing, about Altuve is like he could have broke his hand in a spring training game getting hit by a pitch. The Diaz one, yes, that one's more of a freak injury celebrating. I'm okay with it. If players want to go represent their country, go do it. I'm fine. I know it's a risk, and I know teams are probably scared of it. But yeah, if there was a better time, like you do this in November, December, I think it'd be a lot better. And I think teams would be more kind of okay and let's kind of skittish about having some. Because I know like the Yankees didn't want Severino pitching in there, and even like Nestor, they kind of wanted him to hold back. So I see why, and I know Judge said he didn't want to play because he wanted to go win the World Series, and again, I get that too. Wanted to kind of get ready and hopefully win the World Series. But yeah, it's tough. If it was a better time of year, maybe it'd be, more guys we'd see in it. But I just think the time of year is a little bit tough, and it's unfortunate. But players want to go represent their country. I think it's tough to kind of try to tell them no.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very hard thing to tell them no, and it is hard. But I think it should be played after the World Series and not right before the season. I think there's way too many bad things that happen when you put that right before the season. But we got to wrap up the show talking about a legend that unfortunately passed away yesterday, and that's Willis Reed. And the one thing Willis Reed will always be remembered for, he's got a great resume. Two-time NBA champion, the only two Knicks championships teams he was a part of, MVP in 1970, NBA Finals MVP of the two Knicks championships in 70 and 73, 7-time All-Star. But we'll always remember him limping on that court, taking the court in Game 7 of the 1970 NBA Finals against the Lakers, leading the Knicks to their first NBA championship. So rest in peace, Willis Reed, one of the greatest Knicks of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace to Willis Reed. Yeah, he was a huge staple of those 90 teams. Nickname was the captain.
You mean 70s teams?
Yeah, the 70s. Yeah. What did I say?
90s.
Oh, 90s. Yeah, 70s. He's the captain of those teams. Huge part with Clyde Frazier and all that. So yeah, he's a huge kind of staple of the Knicks' success back in the day. I know it's a sad day for Knicks fans everywhere, NBA fans everywhere. So yeah, rest in peace of Willis Reed. Huge career, and I know such a great Knick back in the day.
Absolutely. Hopefully the Knicks beat the Heat for him tonight. But that's going to wrap it up on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Alfredo, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week previewing the Final Four and giving our baseball preview for the 2023 season. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down. Wide open. It's Barkley. and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the poles, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.